Breaking news. America is stunned tonight, as a seismic shift has just rocked the nation. A legal earthquake just hit, sending shockwaves through every level of government and society. 10 major gun laws have been quietly rewritten, changing the landscape of American rights overnight. While the media was distracted by other headlines, a revolution unfolded in the courts, almost entirely unnoticed. It wasn't loud, it wasn't on your nightly news, there were no breaking alerts or urgent panels. In silent, nearly empty courtrooms, the fate of your freedom was decided by a handful of judges and legal minds. 10 landmark decisions have just been handed down. Nothing about gun rights in America will ever be the same. The very foundation of gun control in America has been shattered. The rules, as we knew them, have changed forever. This is not a drill. This is the real thing, and you need to know what it means for you, your family, and your community. What you're about to hear is an exclusive report, information you won't find anywhere else. You won't find this on mainstream news. They don't want you to know, or perhaps they simply missed it. But the truth is out. A series of powerful court rulings, building on the historic Bruen decision, have dismantled decades of anti-gun precedent and rewritten the legal playbook. These aren't minor tweaks. These are tectonic shifts, deep, fundamental changes that will echo for generations. The courts have finally and clearly stated the Second Amendment is not a suggestion, but a core, fundamental freedom for every American. We're breaking down 10 specific changes that have rewritten the rulebook so you can understand exactly what's different now. We'll explain what these court decisions mean for ordinary people, your right to carry, your right to privacy, your right to be safe from government overreach, and how these new protections affect your daily life. The era of politicians chipping away at your rights is ending. The courts have spoken, and their word is law. The courts have drawn a line in the sand, making it clear that the old ways of restricting rights are no longer acceptable. The days of treating law-abiding gun owners like criminals are over. Responsible citizens are being recognized, not punished. The balance of power is shifting back to the people, restoring freedoms that many thought were lost for good. This is not a political opinion. It's a legal reality, backed by the highest courts in the land. The precedents gun control advocates relied on for generations are gone, swept away by these new decisions. The legal arguments for bans, registries, and denying your rights have been declared unconstitutional, changing the legal landscape forever. This is the moment the Constitution strikes back, reasserting its power and purpose in American life. But this victory means nothing if you don't know about it. Knowledge is your first line of defense. You must understand these changes and know your rights, so you can protect yourself and your loved ones. What you learn next will change everything. Stay tuned, because the new era of American freedom starts now. For decades, courts relied on a legal test called intermediate scrutiny to chip away at your Second Amendment rights, often quietly and without much public debate. This standard allowed judges to say, yes, you have a right, but public safety comes first. And that single word, but, was used to justify sweeping restrictions that erased your freedom in practice. Politicians could pass almost any gun law they wanted, simply by claiming it was for the public good or to prevent crime. That era, where vague promises of safety trumped your rights, is now over. The new standard is strict scrutiny, the highest and most demanding level of judicial review in American law. Now, the government must prove that any law restricting your rights serves a truly compelling interest, and that the law is narrowly tailored to achieve that goal without unnecessary overreach. This is a high bar, one that most gun control laws simply cannot meet. Laws that broadly restrict firearms, magazines, or accessories are now on shaky ground, facing real legal challenges for the first time in decades. The burden of proof has shifted dramatically. Now, the government must justify its actions with real evidence, and courts are rejecting weak speculative arguments. Assault weapon bans and magazine limits are being struck down across the country as courts apply this new, rigorous standard. The era of so-called common-sense gun control is dead, replaced by a renewed respect for constitutional rights. Strict scrutiny is now the legal firewall protecting your rights from government overreach and judicial activism. Judges can no longer substitute their own policy preferences for the clear commands of the Constitution. The only guide is the text, history, and tradition of the right to bear arms. Old precedents that undermined your rights are now gone. A new era of constitutional protection has begun. restoring the original meaning of the Second Amendment. This is the most important legal shift in Second Amendment history, reshaping the landscape for generations to come. Your rights are now protected at the highest level, with the Constitution as your shield. This revolution in constitutional law happened right under their noses, changing the future of American liberty. For far too long, government agents and law enforcement officers have violated your Second Amendment rights with impunity. Protected by the legal doctrine known as qualified immunity, this shield allowed them to act without fear of personal consequences, even when your constitutional rights were at stake. But now, that shield has been cracked, and the era of unchecked power is ending. Police officers can now be held personally liable in court for violating your right to keep and bear arms. This means they are no longer above the law when it comes to your fundamental freedoms. If an officer knowingly violates your clearly established rights, you now have the power to sue them directly, holding them accountable for their actions. Ignorance of the law is no longer an excuse for those in uniform. Officers are expected to know and respect your rights. This new standard puts real teeth into the Second Amendment, making it more than just words on paper. It serves as a powerful deterrent against official misconduct and abuse of power. Now every officer must think twice before overstepping their authority or infringing on your rights. They must constantly ask themselves, is this a violation of a clearly established right? This isn't about being anti-police, it's about being pro-Constitution and ensuring everyone is held to the same standard. Good officers, those who respect the law and the people they serve, have nothing to fear. This change is designed to stop the bad actors and protect the integrity of law enforcement. It ensures your rights are respected by those in authority and that justice is available to every citizen. The courts have sent a clear and unmistakable message. Violating a citizen's Second Amendment rights now comes with a personal cost. This is a true game changer for civil liberties. Power is shifting away from the unchecked authority of the state and back to the individual, where it belongs in a free society. Your rights are no longer just empty promises, they're enforceable, with real consequences for those who violate them. And you won't hear this story anywhere else. Stay informed, stay empowered, and know your rights. Red flag laws were sold as reasonable, but became a nightmare of constitutional abuse. Guns could be seized based on secret accusations, with no hearing or evidence. That's changing. Courts are gutting the most abusive aspects. Now no more secret hearings or ex parte orders without extreme, verifiable evidence. Before the government can take your property, you have a right to be heard and to face your accuser. The government must provide clear and convincing evidence of actual danger. The presumption of innocence is restored. The burden of proof is back on the government. Innocent gun owners are protected from false or vindictive accusations. Due process is back, and your rights are safer than ever. The gun control movement's dream was a national gun registry, a database tracking every gun and owner, but courts have thrown a massive wrench into that plan. Landmark rulings now affirm your right to private gun ownership. Laws creating centralized databases of gun owners are being struck down. The government cannot compile or maintain a national registry directly or indirectly. The right to keep arms implies the right to keep them privately. State and local registries are now unconstitutional. The ATF's attempts at backdoor registries are illegal. Forcing citizens onto government lists chills the exercise of rights. These rulings protect you from being cataloged for exercising a constitutional right. Your privacy as a gun owner is now a protected right. The legal firewall against registries is up, and freedom wins. The surveillance state targeted gun owners, monitoring purchases, tracking social media, flagging legal activity. You could be flagged as a threat just for buying a rifle. That's over. Courts now require the government to get a warrant before surveilling gun owners. To track purchases or monitor online activity, they need probable cause and a judge's approval. The days of treating every gun owner as a pre-criminal are over. Your financial transactions and social media posts can't be used as pretexts for surveillance. Law enforcement must follow the rules and have real evidence. The government serves the people. It can't spy on you for exercising your rights. Your privacy and freedom are protected. In states like New York and California, your right to carry was a privilege, not a right. May issue laws let officials deny permits for almost any reason. That system is dead. Thanks to Bruen and follow-up cases, may issue laws are unconstitutional nationwide. If you're law-abiding, the government must issue you a permit. No more bureaucratic discretion. Endless delays and excessive fees are being struck down. The process must be timely, affordable, and accessible. The right to self-defense outside your home is now protected. The power is back in the hands of the people. The era of may issue is over. Shall issue is the law of the land. This is a revolution in self-defense rights. Gun control was never just about guns, it targeted ammunition and accessories too. Courts now affirm the Second Amendment protects not just firearms, but the tools that make them effective. Laws requiring background checks for ammo or banning online sales are being struck down. The right to keep and bear arms is meaningless without ammunition. Suppressors, long demonized and heavily regulated, are being recognized as safety devices in common use. Courts are ruling that NFA restrictions on suppressors are unconstitutional. Soon, buying a suppressor may be as easy as buying a rifle. This protects hearing, reduces noise, and makes ranges safer. The courts are restoring the full scope of the Second Amendment. Accessories and ammunition are now protected rights. The ATF acted like a fourth branch of government, creating new laws by decree. Through rules and reinterpretations, they turned millions into felons overnight, but courts have put a leash on the ATF. Agencies can't reinterpret laws or declare legal accessories illegal. That's Congress's job. The Major Questions Doctrine now limits agency power on big issues. The ATF's pistol brace rule and bump stock ban have been struck down. The zero-tolerance policy against gun dealers is being challenged as abuse of power. The ATF can no longer act as a super legislature. These rulings restore predictability and fairness. Unelected bureaucrats are now accountable to the Constitution. Your rights are being restored one court case at a time. Now it's your job to know them and defend them.